Hey there, Heather, hello there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Top 10 FIFA World Cup video. And today we're going to be looking at the top 10 FIFA World Cup games of all time prior to 2026 because 2026 might give us a shock. When I am taping this, this is when England and Canada got into the round of 16. We're almost done the round of 32 to head to the round of 16. So we want to give 2026 room to breathe. So we're going to be looking at the top 10 FIFA World Cup games prior to this World Cup 2026. So here we go. Number 10 is Cameroon Argentina 1990, the opening game. It doesn't all have to do with playoffs or knockout games. It has to do with group stage as well. One of the greatest group stage matches of all time was the first match in 1990 when the defending World Cup champions Argentina got the chance to host the first World Cup game. Well, the tournament was in Italy, but they were the first World Cup in the part of the first World Cup game against Cameroon. Cameroon were the surprise outfits of Africa, according to some people, and the game was just awkward and all that, especially for Argentina, as Pompidou, the goalie, was beaten by Cameroon, and Cameroon won the game 1-0. What's even more crazy is Cameroon had lost two players, two red cards. One Biek brothers, as Omar Biek scored the winning goal, his brother was sent packing. And then Benjamin Massing's massive tackle and Claudio Curigia that sent his boot flying and sent Massing to the dressing room with a red card. It didn't hurt either team, though, either. Even though Argentina lost and Pompidou was injured and Goicoechea had to come in net. Argentina actually got to the finals, lost to West Germany, but still, they got to the finals after losing their first match. Cameroon was close to making the semifinals, but lost the quarterfinals against England. Number 9 is the 1974 final between West Germany and Holland. West Germany hosted a decent World Cup in 1974, except for the fact that East Germany just had to qualify, and then they put East Germany and West Germany in the same group on purpose. But the fact of the matter is that West Germany got the revenge, even though they lost to East Germany in that game to Sparwasser's goal. It actually doomed East Germany to a brutal second group, if you will, and Germany got easy pickings. So anyway, Germany and Holland would take on each other. I know it's West Germany, but it's not about Germany. So anyway, Holland had touched the ball for like 30 seconds, no touches by a German player, and then Neeskens was hacked. He took the penalty and made it 1-0. But then Germany got their own penalty, tied it at 1, and then a floating goal by Breitner over the Dutch goalkeeper helped Germany beat the Dutch in 1974. And that actually was the first tournament that we saw the Jules Rimet trophy. That other trophy, the victory trophy, was given to Brazil because they won their third title in 1970, and then they put the Jules Rimet trophy. And as Phoenix from the Flames from Fantasy Football on Channel 4 in England says, you dip your hand in custard, clutching an orange or a rubber ball, and then there's the Jules Rimet trophy. But yeah, that's funny. Anyway, where are we here? Number 8 is South Korea, Italy, 2002, round of 16. South Korea was a very big team. Well, they were the co-host in 2002. Of course, in 2026, South Korea shockingly lost to South Africa, and that actually got them eliminated from the tournament, if you will. But that was in the group stages. Nevertheless, South Korea took on Italy. They were one of the co-hosts alongside Japan with the their first tournament, first World Cup to have two host nations. Japan fell to Belgium or Turkey in the round of 16. South Korea would face Italy, a tougher opponent. Korea actually tied the game at 1 with Italy, and then in extra time, Italy had a goal called back due to offside, which was onside, and one of the strikers, I would say Toddy, but that's probably wrong, got red carded because of a petulant dive, a controversial dive, if you will. However, Korea with Won Jong-on scoring the goal late in extra time to beat Italy 2-1. It was golden goal, meaning first goal in extra time wins the game. And then, of course, South Korea beat Italy. It was massive. sending Korea to the quarterfinals, which they ended up being Spain, but lost to Germany and lost their place to Turkey. So South Korea shocked everyone. And worst of all for On is that his contract with Perugia was actually axed, although they gave him the chance to have it back. They thought it was just petulant losing. And, Italy has a right to get mad because it was controversial. With the things. Number 7 is the Hand of God game, Argentina, England, quarterfinals 86. There was a lot more crazy games than the Hand of God goal. But the whole game in general. Argentina and England were tied 0-0 headed to the second half when Argentina made a play and then England with a back pass towards Peter Shilton. But somehow Diego Maradona put his head to it and headed it over Peter Shilton, 1-0 Argentina. Except that obviously was not true because the replays showed that he basically used his hand to punch the ball over Shilton. And it made sense because Maradona was 5'6" and Shilton was 6'1". So you knew something was wrong. And Maradona told his teammates to celebrate, otherwise they might call the goal back. That was massively controversial. Of course, VAR would change everything. The worst part about it was that it happened. It was not the winning goal as people think it is. Because 11 minutes later, Maradona put up a clinic, 11 touches and 11 seconds going through the English defense, even a couple players twice, to score a goal. That goal was amazing, making it 2-0. And then Gary Lineker made it 2-1 and almost tied it up with a header, but missed by just inches of the header. That could have made it 2-2 and forced extra time. Argentina went on to win the tournament against West Germany. Maradona basically cheekily said 20 years later that it was his hand, but he didn't mean to do it. Yeah, right. Number 6, Uruguay versus Brazil, 1950 final, the Maracanã, as they call it. So 1950 was different. The 4 group winners would play in a round-robin competition to find out who the winning side is. Uruguay and Brazil were in the final match. All Brazil needed to do was tie Uruguay, and they were going to be world champs on their own turf in 1950. Of course, Brazil, this would be before Pele. They had a good generation of talent. Uruguay had a good talent pool, too. They won the 1930 title as well. Brazil just needed a tie. Brazil was up 1-0, but then Uruguay scored twice on goals by Chiqui and Schifano, which basically did what only 2 other people did. And that was the Pope and Frank Sinatra. Silenced the Maracanã Stadium in front of 200,000 fans, as they claim it was. I would say 150,000 at best. But yeah, Uruguay shocked Brazil 2-1. They ended up winning the trophy. Brazil was just upset. They changed their white tops to yellow tops to make it yellow and blue. They banished all the Brazilians involved in the 1950 final from ever coming close to a soccer pitch ever again. And that was even in years after the retirements and all that. So basically, Brazil overreacted to losing. 8 years later, they would get their title with Pele and all of them. Number 5 is England-Germany 1966 final. I know you're saying this. You're an England fan. You're wearing 3 lions on your shirt. Why are you putting them so low? Well, I can't really be biased, and the 4 matches ahead of them were fantastic and all that. But yeah, England, West Germany made the 66 final. England hosted the final. Of course, they lost the trophy, and then Pickles, the dog, found it. England tried to push North Korea towards outer space, if you will, because of them in the World Cup. But Middlesbrough, also feeling cheated about being far away from London, actually took them in as mascots. England and Germany both kind of had controversial quarterfinals, as England had won a game with a German official, and Germans won it with a English official. So you knew something was fishy. England and of course Argentina was a lot of things. Violence of the tongue by Antonio Rattay. This was before yellow and red cards were introduced. So anyway, England would take on West Germany. It was a tight one before Wolfgang Weber tied it at 2 in the 90th minute. They went to extra time, of course. How many goals do you score? And then Jeff Hurst thought he scored to make it 3-2. Unfortunately, though, the ball did not cross the line. Even the film of it said it did not cross the line. It just bounced off the crossbar. But somehow the linesman, who didn't really know English, actually pointed to the center circle for a goal. A lot of people actually said that the guy from Azerbaijan said that, maybe it was revenge for World War II. But nevertheless, that's what happened in most people's eyes. But yeah, Jeff Hurst did score his hat trick goal to ice the game 4-2. But I think England probably won anyway. It took till 2010, till the revenge of the Wembley goal happened, as Frank Lampard appeared to tie the game against Germany in the round of 16, but all of a sudden it was called back because it didn't enter the net. Oh, yes, it did, and VAR would have said that went in. Number 4, maybe controversial, but it's Italy-Germany 1970 semifinal. This was a great semifinal. It was known as the game of the century because of so many twists and turns in this game. Brazil earlier beat Uruguay to move on to the final. It was now Italy versus Germany, and it was one for the record books. Italy and Germany were tied 2-2 at the end of regulation, but 1-1. My fault. By 5 goals in extra time. 3 by Italy, 2 by Germany, made it Italy 4, Germany 3. Germany got to the semifinal because of another kind of clear-cut game. And it was the 1970 quarterfinal against England that saw England lose Gordon Banks to food poisoning and had to use Peter Bonetti. And it almost worked. England was up 2-0. They made some substitutions trying to save themselves for the semis, but they screwed up and Germany went in extra time. Nevertheless, this was a big game. This was also the game that saw Franz Beckenbauer playing for Germany, but he injured his shoulder, and since he couldn't come off, he had to have his arm in a sling. Italy beat Germany, but then lost to Brazil. Number 3 is the big upset, Germany-Brazil 2014. 2014 was a great time to be alive, if you will. Brazil was hosting the World Cup, and it was assumed they were going to win the World Cup. And they had Neymar, they had fewer people, and they even had the Simpsons on their side, kind of. So Brazil got their way to the semifinals. They did beat Colombia in the quarterfinals, but unfortunately one of their players decided to knee Neymar in a bad spot, forcing Neymar off the field, and he couldn't play the semifinal. And worst of all, Thiago Alves, their captain, was red carded, so he couldn't play in the semifinal. Germany used Brazil's awkward defense to their credit, scoring 5 goals in the first half. Can you imagine that? Including 3 goals in 6 minutes or something like that? It was just disastrous, and Germany crushed it 7-1 in Belo Horizonte. This was huge. Miro Klose, with his goal, actually became the top scorer in tournament history, but now that's Leo Messi's crown. But yeah, Germany and Brazil took on each other, and then Germany crushed Brazil into fine powder. So, yeah, that was shocking. Brazil would have gone to lose third place to the Dutch. The Germans would beat Argentina 1-0 in extra time, scoring the winning goal by Mario Götze. They got their trophy. Brazil did not. And crazy as it sounds, the Simpsons actually predicted this. The Simpsons predicted Germany beating Brazil, but albeit in the final, but not the semifinal. Number 2 is the most recent game on this list. 2022 final, France and Argentina. You knew this had to be up there too. This was a classic final. This is huge and all that. So, anyway, France and Argentina managed to get themselves to the final. Argentina actually lost their first game of the group game to Saudi Arabia, but were strong. France had taken care of England. Well, I had no qualms about that. France would take on Argentina. It was legendary and all that. I didn't get to see it first run because it landed during church time, and basically it's either God or soccer, and God wins it every time. So it was a battle between Mbappe and Messi, basically the passing of the torch, if you will. France would lose to Argentina in the penalty shootout, and it was just amazing to see this game actually exist. However, that did not win the thing. Number 1 is Brazil-Italy 1970. So, of course, Italy beating Germany and Brazil beating Uruguay. So now let's talk about the final, which was a great final in Mexico. However, Pele in his swan song for Brazil, dazzled with attacking football, and his team did so too. Jorginho scored a goal against Italy, and that goal was huge because that goal actually became the first player to score a goal in 6 straight matches, 3 group games, the quarters, the semis, and the finals. Jorginho was a hero. Pele scored a goal too, the first goal of the match to make it 1-0, and then came the team goal that almost every Brazilian took a touch over the Italian defense, and Carlos Alberto scoring a goal through everyone's legs and all that. And Brazil beat Italy 4-1 to win the title, and it was just pure football. And Pele got his 3rd World Cup trophy, and all hail Pele. I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.